What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Lockdown Defense Sports Network. I am your host for today's episode, Robert Garcia, Young RG, as Coach likes to call me. And in today's episode, we are diving into Week 3 of the Lightning Lockdown preview, taking a look at the upcoming matchup between the LA Chargers and the Denver Broncos. Week 3 of the NFL, and for the Chargers, a chance to do something that, as far as I could tell, has never been done before by any team in the NFL history, and that is to start a season 3-0 with each of those wins coming against each of your division opponents. So obviously the fact to get 3 of your division opponents back to back to back to open up your season is bonkers in and of itself. Especially the Chargers essentially having, even though 2 of those games were technically home games, only one of those is going to be a home game, and it's going to be this one upcoming versus the Broncos. Obviously, Chiefs won in a neutral site on Brazil. Raiders won in Vegas on a Monday night. So back-to-back primetime games, and we are going to be wrapping it up with a nice little 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, at least. That is 1:05, I believe, start time for this Broncos game. So for Chargers fans, a little bit happy about this one. I know prime time kind of gives us the anxiety even more so. So to have a nice normal Sunday game, our first Sunday playing football, will be very exciting to watch, to say the least. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And the first thing we're going to be talking about is, of course, the injury report for the Chargers. Now, earlier today, and again, I'm recording this on the Thursday, the practice news and everything like that hadn't been released yet. So yesterday, McConkey was a DNP. A couple of other guys were DNP as well, as far as practice. But today, the injury report looks a lot better, with the only DNPs coming from Molden, still recovering from that hamstring that sat him out this previous matchup versus the Raiders, and Dissily, who did suffer that knee injury I think that was a little bit later in the Raiders game. So hopefully he can come back as quickly as possible. Obviously, probably the best blocking tight end, although Tucker Fisk gives that man a run for his money. So I definitely expect to see that elevation come through. Maybe we see the Arande Gadsden elevation that we've all been kind of waiting for. Maybe this is the time now with Dissily, facing this knee injury. We don't know how long he'll be out for. So maybe we do see Gadsden come in. As far as for the limited guys, Cam Hart, with a pair of second-year corners, teammates from that 5th round in last year's draft class. Cam Hart, with his hip injury that he suffered on that tackle against the Raiders. I am totally blanking on the Raiders receiver that he came charged. It might have been Zamir White. It might have been the running back, but came in flying. Laid a fantastic tackle out, but did injure his hip in the process. So to hear that he's limited is really good. Means he definitely has a chance to play this Sunday. It is a little bit of a short week, obviously, with that Monday night game. So you go from that mini bye into a little bit of shorter rest. So that is definitely something to take into account as well. And Tarheeb still battling his knee and shoulder injuries, but played a fantastic game this past Monday, I should say, against the Raiders. So definitely hoping we can get those 2 cornerbacks back for the Broncos game. So what's ahead, and looking ahead for this upcoming matchup versus the Broncos, my score prediction, I do have the Chargers winning this one 23-20. So my kind of basis around this is going to be the fact that the Broncos, this is kind of what the Chargers were predicted to be, is kind of how the Broncos are performing right now, where the run game may look really good. The defense is playing lights out, and it's just that passing game that struggles a little bit because of the lack of outside weapons. However, the Chargers, and Nix is obviously a great quarterback, but he's no Herbert at this point. So it's also really tough for him to try to elevate that talent when he doesn't possess the same natural traits that Herbert does. However, that is where the Broncos are severely lacking. And as you can see here with my score prediction of 23-20, I'll just get in right into the next slide for the keys to victory. So first key to victory is to run the ball. And I should have put run the damn ball here, because this Chargers rushing attack is bottom 5 in the league currently. Amorion Hampton has not started his career as hot as I think a lot of Chargers fans were hoping for. And maybe as a lot of Chargers fans were kind of led to believe just with how great he was coming out of college. A lot of people were like, oh, in any other draft class, he's the running back one besides Genty. So, there was a lot of, and I'll admit I was definitely one of the preachers for this, that Hampton was going to be an instant game changer for us right out of the gate. And it's definitely been a little bit slower than we were expecting. However, on the flip side of that, the passing attack and the wide receiver room has been extremely better than we were hoping for. So to kind of take that trade off, I think you're okay with that. I think you trust Greg Roman and this offensive coaching staff to get the running game going as the season goes on. Obviously, losing Slater before the season even started was a huge blow to this running game. So we were already behind the sticks in that regard. But I do think that the Chargers can definitely get some rushing momentum going in this game. We did see Jonathan Taylor, have a decent game against actually, I think he had a really good game last week against the Broncos. Yeah, 25 carries for a buck 65. No touchdowns, didn't get into the end zone, but he ran all over that Broncos defense. So I am really hoping that Hampton and Harris can kind of replicate that. Maybe not 165 yards by one, but if we can get a combined maybe 140, 150 from the two, I think that would be a very, very good sign for this rushing attack. So yeah, definitely want to see some running of the ball, some classic Harbaugh and Greg Roman tough nose football. Moving on to our next key of victory, we do have the pass rush without Khalil Mack now. This and the next one, defending the QB runs, kind of go hand in hand because these are both going to be very tough to do without Khalil Mack. Now, Khalil Mack is obviously not going to be chasing any quarterbacks down, and any quarterback that has a bit of mobility is going to be able to get away from him pretty easily. We did see Mahomes do that a couple of times, especially on that throw. Mack breaks through immediately off Kingsley, the right guard for left guard. No, yeah, I was right. Right guard for the Chiefs. Matt gets a free rush basically right to Mahomes, and Mahomes does devil Mahomes magic and just absolutely unleashes a rope falling out of bounds to Thornton, I believe it was, or that might have been Hollywood Brown, one of the two. I can't remember exactly, but so Mac isn't. This is all to say Mac isn't catching up to anybody like that, but just of his presence in the run game and setting that edge, not having that, that talent and that leadership on the field is definitely going to be a brutal setback. The good thing about it, however, is that it isn't permanent, or isn't permanent. It isn't season ending like we were all kind of fearful of. Obviously, that injury to Mac looked pretty gruesome. For as graphic as it looked, I'm shocked that broadcast kept showing it over and over. Usually, when you go to commercial right after an injury like that, it's because it's not a good looking injury. I mean, they even went to commercial right after Joe Burrow's injury for the turf toe. And that didn't look nearly as bad as this Mac injury did. But thankfully, obviously, Mac is only going to be out, hopefully, for the minimum of 4 weeks. He was placed on the IR recently, with Tony Jefferson getting the elevation and the Chargers also signing Cleveland Farrell to the practice squad to try to get some, more pass rusher or some more, pass rushing presence into the locker room. But yeah, pass rushing without Mac, obviously got to get to Nix early. I talked a little bit more about the QB runs. Got to get to Nix early, throw him off his game. Bo Nix has been kind of shaky to start this season, 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. I think Troy Franklin is their leading receiver with 163 yards, and everybody else is like beneath 100. So the passing attack is certainly a weakness for the Broncos. It could be due to the lack of weapons. It could be due to Knicks. Whatever the reason is, that passing attack right now currently is not doing great. You could argue that even despite that, the Broncos should be 2-0. They played against the Colts and lost ultimately with that questionable leverage call at the end of the game. I get that call was questionable at the end of the day. It's a 60-yard field goal. Why are you even trying to block it that hard? I mean, it's not like that's Brandon Aubrey or Harrison Butker or Cameron Dicker or Chris Boswell. Some of these elite NFL kickers that are back there. It was I don't even know his name, which is awful. But it was whoever the Colts kicker was. So it's that it's a brutal way to lose a game, but in all retrospect, you probably shouldn't have lost that game. So either way, this game is for the division lead, regardless of if the Broncos would have won that game or if they didn't. Either way, this match will determine who is in first place moving into week 4. So it is a huge matchup, to say the least. And it's crazy when you really think about it, because the Chargers really did play for first, or really are going to play, because this game obviously hasn't happened yet. Each of the first 3 weeks was for the division lead. Obviously, if you beat the Chiefs, you're the only team taking on your division opponent that week, taking on a division opponent that week. So if you win, you get that tiebreaker, no matter if the Broncos and Raiders both win, which they did in week 1. Then in week 2, you face the Raiders, obviously, for sole possession of first place, because again, division opponent, you're both 1-1. Whoever wins that game takes sole possession. Even if the Broncos would have beat the Colts, whichever, and the Chargers won 2-0, they still would have had those division wins ahead. And now it is the same principle again. Week 3, here we go, deja vu. The Chargers are once again playing a division opponent for the division lead. Now, however, if the Chargers were to win this one, man, it almost, I don't want to say it puts you in a position that is uncatchable as the season goes on, because I think this division is absolutely good enough that, even one slip up here from us, and obviously this is talking so far ahead. We still need to win this game. However, if we were to win this game, it would just do so much morale and psyche wise for the team to think, wow, we're 3-0 and all 3 of those wins against division opponents, including week 1 against the Chiefs. Like, the Chargers would just have so much confidence built up after that. And with the way the schedule plays out after these first 3 weeks, it really loosens up for us, to say the least, before it gets really rough in that last month, 6 weeks or so. But from right now, from like week 4, I believe, when we play the Giants, and we'll obviously get into the review of that next week, from like week 9, I want to say the games, the matchups, I want to say, are in heavily favor of the Chargers. And I think the Chargers have the QB advantage in a lot of those matchups. So hopefully this is a huge statement game for the Chargers here. And I didn't really talk about the Greenlaw Engram keys to victory, because that's obviously not necessarily a key to victory, but it's just something that to look out for as Chargers fans if those guys aren't on the field for the Broncos. And Greenlaw has yet to see the field this year for the Broncos. This would be a big help for us, especially if Greenlaw is not there, because the linebacking play for the Broncos has been subpar, to be nice and say the least. But with that all being said, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. Be sure to check out the rest of the Hit Squad and their socials down below. We got Mike Dubb, the Commanders Insider, Alex Gibbons, the Chiefs Insider, and myself, Young RG, Robert Garcia, your Chargers Insider. And also, don't forget to check out the Lockdown Defense Sports Network on all social media platforms. We are on X oh my God, I always do that. Twitter, formerly known. I had it right, and I messed myself up before I even finished. X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and Gmail, all down below. Please, guys, please reach out to us. We love interacting with y'all, talking ball. Season's off to a great start so far. We're only 2 weeks in. So yeah, there's just so much to be excited about, and we're barely sinking our teeth into the delicious season that is the NFL. So with that all being said, guys, again, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.